Hey y'all, welcome to the first installment of Finance Fridays. Whether you're on my blog or on my YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss new content. Finance Fridays is all about getting my finances together. So the first week, we're going to talk about spending. In my blog post, which if you're on my YouTube, I'll link below, I talk about how I used to track my spending and certain changes that I'll make throughout the month to just get better at it. I'm okay, I check in every so often, but I think that I can do better if I'm more consistent with checking in and making sure that the spending goals that I set are actually being achieved rather than realizing when it's too late when I've spent too much on a particular category in my budget. So that's really what the blog post focus on. Here, I want to talk about different apps that I have used and am currently using to track my spending. So let's get started. Okay, so I have my notes, of course, and Timber's here. I can't film without him like scratching at my feet, wondering what's going on up here. So you'll see him periodically in and out of the video. So the first app that I want to talk about is Mint. I had heard of Mint just through, I guess, Google searches and honestly just looking on the App Store for different finance apps. And I love Mint because it gives you a big picture idea of your finances. So rather than just looking at your spending transactions or budgeting, they tell you almost your net worth, which is my understanding of the app, because it shows you your spending and your bank account balance, but it also goes into great detail about what your liabilities are as well. So you can put in your credit card debt in there and really get a good picture about what your finances look like. So it's not just the positive side, it's the reality as well. I don't want to say the negative side because I think it's just the reality of your financial situation. So I found that app useful to get a big picture and even a total picture idea of what my finances looked like. Now, I will say I probably could have made this change, but I don't use Mint anymore. And this is just me because it had too many notifications. It was too much going on and I was using it at a time where I wanted to detach from my phone. So I turned a lot of my notifications off, and that included sort of the little red bubble that you see when you have a notification too. So after I did that, I stopped using the app. I found myself not checking in with it because for me, it's not something that provided me with something that brought me back, if that makes sense. But I think if you want a really big picture of your finances and a total picture of your finances, Mint is a great app for you. For me, I know that my net worth is in the negatives because of my student loans, and it will probably be in the negatives for a very long time, given the fact that I have so many student loans. So it is what it is. I don't need to know how far in the red I am. I know I'm in the red. So why do I need to know that? I don't. So the second app that I want to mention is the Everyday Dollar app. It's not only an app, it's also on your desktop, but I used the app. This is an app by Dave Ramsey. If you haven't heard of him, do a quick Google search, but you've probably heard of the baby steps, which is 7 steps to financial freedom. But he also has a podcast. I watch the podcast on YouTube just because I like to see Dave's reactions to some of the people who call him. I think he's really funny. So I started listening to him first on YouTube and then tried his app. The app, I loved it. It was a great opportunity to plan my finances digitally and have it on my phone so it's always with me. With the app, you can basically say what your income is, whether you get it weekly, bi-weekly, whatever, and then you budget your app. So you create categories of bills, clothing, spending, whatever categories you need, you can specify it to how you want it or what you want to name them, and then you budget your money. So what you can do on the unpaid version is basically track your spending. So if you budget $50 on the app, I would go in afterward, after a shopping trip, and say, okay, I spent $45, and it'll let you know that you have $5 more allocated to that budget. So I loved the app. I thought it was a great way to start budgeting and to do it in a way where I won't make mistakes with math. So if that's something that you're looking for, then I highly recommend it. Now, I don't use the app anymore only because I'm a planner. I love paper planning. So while I love the app and the freedom and the accuracy that it gave me, I just prefer planning on paper. But if you're a digital planner or you hate math and don't like to add and subtract, I think the Everyday Dollar budget app is great for you. So while I'm a paper planner and I like to track my spending on paper, I still love to use my bank account app to keep track of my spending and to check and sort of balance to make sure that what I have written down matches what came out of my bank account. So I like this because it's simple, it's easy. I don't have to do budgeting and categorizing things and changing categories when things are categorized wrong by the app. It's super simple because all I see are my transactions. I know how to categorize them so I can write it down on paper and just keep track of everything in the way that is most meaningful to me, which is on paper. So if this is something that's interesting to you, I definitely recommend either just going all paper and just tracking your spending that way, or using your bank account app, because that way you don't have to pay for the special features of a different app. You get it for free, and that's just how you track your spending. So what I like to do on my spending log is use Cloth and Paper's purchase tracker or spending log. So I just write the date that I made the purchase, the category, amount, whatever. But what I love is the fact that you have to categorize each purchase or spending as a want or a need. So after I categorize the purchase or the spending as a want or a need, I like to highlight the different colors. And at the end of the month, this is such a visual way for me to see what I spent my money on. So even if I'm on budget with spending in a certain category, it definitely is eye-opening for me to see, okay, I made 6 different transactions on clothing, and while I was solely in budget for that month or that paycheck, it's still eye-opening to see that I have 5 transactions on clothing. And it makes me question, like, did I need all of these clothes, even though they're all wants? Like, how significant was that want? Was it worth spending 5 different times this month or this paycheck on clothing? So it's a really good exercise for me, because I'm very visual, to just color code the wants and the needs and to see exactly what I spent my money on, and whether I spent more on needs or spent more on wants. So be sure to check out my blog post, because there I talk about how I'm changing up my tracking. Of course, I'm still using paper, and of course, I'm still using my bank account app, but I'm making a few changes here or there to help me stay on track with my spending. So I hope that you all enjoy this. Be sure to let me know in the comments below how you track your spending, whether you've used any of the apps that I talk about today, or give me some ideas on how to track my spending too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.